Senator Cornyn.
On September the 1st, 2001, we lost 3,000 Americans. About a week later, Congress authorized the use of military force to go after the terrorists that committed those attacks. Last year alone, we lost 108,000 Americans to drugs that are coming across the southwestern border. I think the figure is roughly 71,000 of those deaths were caused by synthetic opioids, fentanyl, and we know where the precursors come from. They're coming largely from China. This is like losing a large passenger jet every day for more than a year. Just like 9/11, just like we would react if, in fact, passenger jets were falling out of the sky each day for a year, we would react in an overwhelming fashion. Yet, the Attorney General of the United States has said he's doing everything he can. And so my question for each of you is, what additional authorities, what additional resources do we need to defeat this threat to American lives? Some have suggested that they should be designated a foreign terrorist organization. Other members of Congress have said, well, we need to use an authorization for the use of military force like we did after 9/11. But I'd like to hear, maybe starting with you, Director Haynes, and then I'd like to have Director Burns address the question, what additional authorities, what additional resources do we need in order to save American lives from this threat?
Thank you, Senator. And I know you've done a lot of work on these issues, and I could not agree more with your characterization of it and the importance that it holds. And you'll hear from my colleagues some of the increasing resources and efforts that all of them have engaged in this area. I will speak for myself in terms of the ODNI, our Office of Director of National Intelligence. We have a National Intelligence Manager that covers this issue and a National Intelligence Officer. And one of the things that I've learned in the 2 years that I've been there is that we do not have as deep a bench of analysts on these issues, and we are not as, therefore, resourced as we need to be in order to really address this question. That's something that we've been building, and that's something that we need to continue to build. And I think that's
I agree with you that we are losing. And what I want to know is, what do we need to win? Director Burns, would you address that?
Yes, sir. From the point of view of CIA, as we've discussed before, we've tried to transform our strategy through our Counter-Narcotics Center, working with partners across the intelligence community and domestic and foreign partners as well, focusing on the entire network that you described. In other words, precursor chemicals, financial flows, the production of fentanyl pills and the equipment that goes into that, as well as disrupting that trafficking as well. And here I would emphasize that I think we talked earlier about Section 702. I think that has helped us to illuminate that network and has helped us in some successful actions recently with which foreign intelligence collected by CIA has contributed to. Both recent successes that our Mexican partners have had against the Sinaloa cartel, and also recent successes against fentanyl production and processing equipment in Mexico and in the United States. So I couldn't agree with you more about the severity of this problem. For all of us, protecting American lives is our highest priority.
I'd like to follow up with the panel in closed session. Let me turn to the issue that Senator King raised. COVID exposed our vulnerability to long supply chains, everything from advanced semiconductors to rare earth elements to active ingredients in pharmaceuticals that are manufactured in China. And in the event that supply was disrupted, it would be not only a tremendous threat to our economy, but to our national security as well. For many years, American businesses have been investing in China. We had a witness that testified last May, I think it was, that the current market value of U.S. investments in China were worth $2.3 trillion. In other words, American investment in China has been financing the rise of China's economy and the rise of their military might. Just like CFIUS allows us to review foreign investment in the United States, do you support an outbound investment transparency regime that would give us greater insight, give you greater insight into what we are financing? We, in effect, are financing our number one adversary, and we have, it's relatively opaque, I think, to the intelligence community and certainly to the policymakers. Director Haynes?
Sure, I'll start. Obviously, without prejudice to the policy question of what is the right answer for how to
Would
deal
you
with
like
this.
the information?
I think you're absolutely right that there's no question that something that would create greater transparency would give us more information about this, and that would be valuable from our perspective.
And I think Senator Cornyn raised a good point, and something we've discussed at some length, how we have to make sure we're also following what particularly China is doing in other nation states. Senator Bennett.